Big itch.
So today I have Shay here on the podcast with me. So Shay, have you been hearing anything about this current World War III situation we've been having?
Yes, I have.
Just some of the basics of what you know.
I mean,
So basically you don't know much. It's okay though. I know a good bit about it and I'm here to tell you. So, essentially, it started with China saying that they wanted to invade Taiwan.
Turkey.
No. That was
Okay.
Russia. Russia
Okay.
is the one who's been wanting to actually invade Ukraine. So you do know a little bit.
Yes.
So did you hear about how they did a massive military buildup to get ready to invade Turkey?
Yes, I heard that.
You did hear that. So what do you think about that? Do you think that's like a really big sign of aggression? Or do you think it's okay now that they pulled back?
I think that's a sign of aggression.
I agree. Do you think this can escalate anything further? Or do you think it'll be relatively alright now that they pulled back?
I feel like it'll risk it to be more serious because
Okay.
they started something and somebody might not have taken that as a good thing.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Like, Ukraine, it was Turkey. They weren't taking that too kindly. And the U.S. was looking into that a good bit.
Yes.
So, now with China, like I was saying originally, China was saying how they wanted to invade Taiwan. And they've been doing several, training exercises. So they would have their fighter jets fly into Taiwan's airspace. And they would test to see how they would respond to that. And now recently, China even sent big military boats through their waters.
Mhm.
And even as recently as 2 weeks ago, they sent huge...
Rockets.
No, I'm talking about ships.
Oh,
They
okay.
put massive ships in the waters around there to contest about the international waters and that they actually own it.
Okay,
Well-
when I was going with rockets,
Okay.
did you hear that China sent a rocket out and the base part of it went with it too, and then it was crashing down and it crashed in the Indian Ocean?
I did hear about that. A lot of people were worried that it would crash on top of their heads, which, there's a very small chance of that, since most of the Earth is made of water. But the range was going from New York down to Australia, which, even includes us.
Mhm.
So it was a threat to basically everyone. And I don't know if you heard that they plan to launch 10 more of these rockets by next year. So how's that make you feel about the risk of potentially having a big rocket fall on your head?
Well, I don't think they should release the rockets if, one, they don't work like they're supposed to.
Yeah, I completely agree. They need to recheck and reamp their rockets to be up to basic standards. Even NASA was criticizing China on their use of these rockets. So, I don't know if you heard about the other thing with the quadruple alliance. Have you heard anything about that?
No.
Well, basically, Australia, India, the U.S., and Japan are all allying up to put pressure on China. Because China's been messing with several countries about the contested waters and all that stuff. So a bunch of countries are getting tired of it. Because, if you bully some bunch of people, they're going to team up to take you out. So we've been having meetings with Joe Biden and the other leaders of these countries. And they plan to, ally up and have a team effort if China tries anything.
Mhm.
Do you think that's a good idea? What do you think about the overall idea of that?
I don't really have an opinion as
Okay.
long as it's safe for everybody.
I get that. And there are even other countries trying to join this. Because, everyone wants in the benefits of China stopping their bullyistic tendencies of, pushing and nudging. Have you heard about the India skirmishes at the borders at least? Have you heard about that?
Yes.
You did hear about that? Yeah, I think that just blows my mind that they would even try something like that. Because they've had border skirmishes where they'd even go over and fight each other's soldiers.
Mhm.
That just blows my mind. I didn't think in current day we'd have something like that. I even actually had a friend who lives in India, and when this was happening, he was telling me how disturbing and surprising that was. Every day I would talk to him because this was just an update thing. It was back in the summer.
Mhm.
So he was getting ready to see a war between his country and China. But thankfully, so far, it has been avoided. But say in the future, China does plan to invade Taiwan within the next 6 years. That's what their leader has said. So Do you believe that they'll even do that, though? Do you think that's just like, them talking, barking? Or do you think they will indeed pull out these plans?
I feel like there's a slight chance they may pull out these plans, but they've been talking about stuff before and haven't had it done.
That's a good point.
So it's like a surprise we get.
Okay, yeah, I definitely agree. So another thing I'd like to ask you is if, say, China doesn't decide to invade Taiwan and even Japan, do you think the U.S. should go and be a presence in this war, or do you think we should stand back?
I think we should stand back until one of them needs our help.
Okay, well, that's an interesting take, because personally I think we should immediately get in on that, because China has been a very big enemy of the United States and just globally for a long time now, and I think if the opportunity arises for us to, put an end to that and even just free the Chinese people, I think that's a very good thing that we should do. Speaking of Chinese people, have you heard what's been going on with them and the human rights violations?
No.
You haven't?
No.
Okay, well, so there's a group of Muslims in China called the Uyghurs, and they have been putting these Uyghurs in concentration camps, and they've been killing them for, organs, to get their harvest organs and sell them on the black market, and they've even been welding people in their homes during the coronavirus outbreak so that no one would go out. So I'm appalled by these human rights violations. So that's another reason I think we should go in and help if they invade Taiwan and Japan, because it also helps the Chinese people. So,
speaking of me just finding that out, I do now change my mind to have the U.S. do something about it right away instead of waiting to see if something else will happen, because something else may happen and make it worse in the middle of it.
Yeah, I understand that. You didn't know about that until I told you, so you wouldn't have been able to know. So does that surprise you that kind of stuff is going on in current day? That's concentration camp type stuff, but happened back in the 40s. That's happening today. I think that's just very surprising that we would allow that to happen for this long.
It definitely is stopped.
You think it's stopped? You don't think they're doing it anymore?
It needs stopped.
Oh, it needs to be stopped. Yes, I completely agree. Actually, I don't know. Have you heard about Hong Kong at all? The protests back in summer.
I've heard about it, but haven't invested into it.
Well, I was watching something on TV, and the Hong Kong people were holding up American flags, signaling for us to come and help them. And I felt really bad about when they got shut down because we didn't help them, even though they were signaling for our help by waving our flag that represents freedom. So I think that would also be another thing that would bring up the occasion so we can help them as well if this World War III does break out. So, do you have anything to add about that? Anything that I haven't talked about that you know?
No.
Not at all?
No.
I just want to see if any intake on this. Now, okay, here's a good question. Say there was a war that broke out. Would you go and join the armed forces in this occasion?
Absolutely.
You would? What branch do you think you would join?
I'm not sure quite
You're not sure?
yet.
You're not sure?
No.
Well, okay, what's your least likely? Which one do you think you would absolutely not want to join?
Probably a pilot.
You wouldn't want to be an Air Force pilot?
No.
How is that? Afraid of heights?
No, but I'm afraid of crashing.
That's very understandable.
Up high in the air.
Yeah, that's understandable. And plus, those planes are very hard to pilot. The speeds you're going at, oh man, I couldn't imagine.
There's also a lot of controls.
Okay, yeah.
You might press the wrong control one time.
That's definitely understandable. But actually, if the war does break out, that's exactly what I'd want to be. I actually like to be an Air Force pilot if this happened. So I guess we're the exact opposite with that, aren't we?
Uh-huh.
Now, that's interesting. I never thought we would be that.
Best of luck to you.
Best of luck to you. That's all for today's show. See you next time.